goal, Quishbilly Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Good evening, guys. Welcome to episode 151, I think it is, isn't it? Because that Twitter thing that we did after Norwich confused me today. But yeah, 151 of the Andy Take Your Chance podcast. It's a bank holiday special. We've got a man in a dark room who's had to lie down to blowing a 2-goal lead. Dan Porritt. Poz. How are you, mate?
Yeah, lights and makes can't afford electric these days.
Season's going cancelled anyway. No one can afford any floodlights soon. So yeah, and also joining us are a star signing in the summer on a free transfer from insert witty players. It's Johnny Gillespie after his debut role the other week. Hi, Johnny.
How you doing? I can only do 15 minutes and this light's got to go off, so that's all the time I've been allocated.
Unfortunately, we've absolutely been custard pied by Mr. Bradshaw. Birthdays. I'm sure I've done a pod on my birthday. I don't know about you, Poz, but yeah, just sacking it off for a birthday. You don't even send us a voice note or anything. Absolutely pathetic, mate. But you're only 21 once, aren't you? So, Matt, but add it again and again. But yeah, Matt, I hope you're having a good birthday, mate. And I hope this is to your taste, man. But it's a poor substitution, though, Poz, isn't it? It's like swapping Lewis O'Brien for... God, I don't want to belittle any of an army.
You could pull a few out there, I think, couldn't you?
Huddersfield 2, West Brom 2. There were 3 changes from our last game, which feels absolutely millions of years ago, doesn't it, when we played at Norwich. Manny Evans Green came in for Tom Lees. Have you not just look at my eyes there, looking at my notes? I've even prepped today. Dino Anchorin came in for Dwayne Holmes. John Russell came in for Johnny Hogg. Pat Jones were ill, which were disappointing as well. I are absolutely furious sending WhatsApps to everyone. Pat Jones does that at Norwich and he gets dropped. And then it scrolls down the club page. Pat Jones is ill. So, yeah, apologies, Danny. So we played in a weird 3-4-2-1 formation. We had Tino and Sorba on left, just behind Danny Ward. Back three was Turton and Reg and Nakayama. Midfield central was John Russell and Jack Rudoni. Guys, where do we start with the game? Poz, before we kind of dissect it, for walking out of the ground, how did you feel? A lot happened, didn't it? It was an eventful game, even if the quality maybe wasn't the best. Eventful game.
Yeah, to be fair, if you're reviewing it as a sort of a neutral, you probably come away thinking you've got value for money there. Cracking goal from Tino to put Town 1-0 up. And I was just saying to you before, although we were sort of never really on top, never felt overly worried by West Brom. They had a lot of possession, but didn't seem to be doing too much with it. And then obviously Tino gets his second, and 2-0 up at home. You're not really considering how you're playing. You're just buzzing that you've gone 2-0 up, and they get one just before half time, and you could feel in the crowd it had that air of atmosphere just went flat instantly, and it were almost a case of kind of here we go again. 2-0's always a funny lead anyway, but when you watch Huddersfield Town, the amount of times you go 2-0 up and end up drawing 2-2, or very often losing 3-2 is quite a colossal amount. So I think that air of inevitability set in literally after that goal. You try to get a crowd going again to sort of get them through to half time, but it were an uphill struggle really. And second half they came out and they were on top, and you just knew it was only a matter of time until they got that second. After that, though, I thought we sort of went quite even. I said to the fellow who sits next to me, I said, it's going to be interesting call for Schofield this sort of with 10-15 to go, because do we sit back and try and hold the 2-2, or do we be a little bit more proactive and sort of try and get that 3-2 win? And certainly the last 10 minutes, I thought we did that. So, I kind of take my hat off Schofield for that, albeit through a quite random series of substitutions. We kind of messed around with front line when Ward went off, and I think Sorba Thomas kind of played up front for a little bit, and then Rhodes came on about 10 minutes later. I think in all that period, though, I think Edmund Green took a knock, so Will Boyle had to kind of come on, and I think that maybe just threw Schofield's plan a little bit. But fair play, we kind of went for it a little bit, and in the end, the last 10 minutes were pretty end to end really. West Brom didn't sit back and look at the point either, and either team could have nicked it. They had a couple of chances, and obviously we hit post late on with quite a ridiculous strike really from Josh Ruffles, which on another day it swerves the other way and goes in. Rhodes missed an header that few more balls in like that, and he puts them away. I think he was just kind of leaning over the defender's shoulder a little bit. But yeah, quite a entertaining game all in.
That Steve Bruce you got with you there, Poz? It's muted. I think it's giving him a Warnock style bollocking. Jonny, how did you leave the ground yesterday? How did you feel? Did you feel we'd blown it? We'd done well? What are your overlying emotions?
Yeah, like I say, it was a strange feeling. I don't like to be pessimistic, but I was never too comfortable at 2-0. I know we're going to dissect it a bit more, but I think maybe results we've had so far, performances we've had so far, it felt weird to start really well. We've normally started shocking, either the game's gone or we're kind of coming from behind. So to go 2-0 up, it's the first time we've done that. It's the first time we've kind of come out of traps and actually taken a 1-goal and then a 2-goal lead. But when it went to 2-1, and then when we kind of played a bit in the second half and some of the chances we're having, time we were giving Swift on the ball, I think I was quite happy to kind of come out with a point. I definitely said to my dad with about 65 minutes saying, if we get a point out of this, I'd take it now. Which I don't like. I don't like to be in that mindset. I don't like to think that during we're at home. Did have chances, like Poz has said. I think I came out quite negative, thinking, yeah, we're hung on for a point there. When I watched it back, or got the short highlights, there were chances. I mean, West Brom had chances to score a third and a fourth, but we did have chances to score a third and a fourth. Well, good chances. I mean, Rose another day probably could put that away. Probably look at that and think it wasn't as easy as Stonewall. I mean, should score, because I think the defender's leaning on him. It's a bit of a hard chance, but Rhodes with his experience probably should do that. Put that in the back of the net, and then again, yeah, Ruffles excellent strike, pulls out from nowhere, just kind of inside of the post, kind of like swerves out, very unlucky. So there's chances there. I think when I first came out, happy to have the point, but then disappointed at the same time that we're in a situation where we go 2-0 up and I'm happy with the point, because that shouldn't be the case. But from reviewing it, I think it's a fair result. Both teams could have gone and got the 3 points, and again, it's just that reflection of who we're playing. So, I mean, it's not an excuse, but we are playing West Brom. There's a lot of players that I'd pick out of their squad and put into ours. That's just the way it is. There's only probably 2 I think West Brom fans might look at, Nichols and Tino, that they probably put into theirs. So if you take it as an entire game, the situation we're in, the run we're on, the situation they're in, the players they've got, we probably can't choose a point with a point, but there's a lot more to go into than that. The 2-2 doesn't quite tell the story, does it?
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of the feedback that I was getting on West Brom for the game, reading up, listening to a few podcasts and what have you, that they missed so many chances in the games. I know they spanked over for 5, I think the game before, but they've been a bit up and down, but mostly just due to missing chances. So obviously they're creating quite a bit yesterday as well. But let's start on a big eye then, Poz. Tino, obviously fans' favourite. Obviously showed a teeny bit last season, didn't we? I think Coventry away maybe, but we were all excited to have him back in the ranks. And bloody hell, man, that goal, sensational, mate. Take it away, Poz. You must have had a great view of it.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, they all shot the town, don't we? Go down the best of them. You never score from short corners, and when something like that happens, you can do nothing but sort of take it off to a little routine. If you watch it think on one of the angles, it popped up to him and you can see Sorba sort of say, look, he hit him. And once he'd let fly at one of them, but you kind of knew it were him before it hit the back of the net. Keeper kind of knew it were him. A great moment for the lad. And then obviously the second, definitely a foul for me. That the defender went down, really easy. I think he's literally just put his hand on his back. As a defender, you know there's going to be contact, so you can't go down a free kick. But that sort of fight, quite like that referee yesterday. He weren't free kick happy. He let quite a rough tackle go. On another day, another ref gives that. And then, as he's down on goal, you're looking in. I think there's 3 or 4 players in box that he could have squared it. So it would a good job that, put it in the net, because I think there'd have been a few choice words between him and a few others. But that shows his confidence. 20-year-old to slide it in at that near post, not easy at all. Where I work, like directly, diagonal, and you could see what we were trying to do. Obviously, keeper caught in 2 minds whether he was going to square it or shoot. But to take that on after that first goal, his confidence is sky high, and he kind of played well throughout. He was the only player that when he got on the ball looks to just kind of drive forward, which is something that we missed. I do think that we're maybe overhyping him a little bit. I think from what I've seen of him in the flesh, that's probably the only kind of like bit of brilliance I've seen. Obviously there in his locker, and the more time that it gets, the better he's going to be. A little bit concerned now. He had to trudge off after 60 minutes. A lot of the feedback that we had last season from everybody really was the fact that he weren't fit. He went away with England injuries. We've not seen the best of him. He's obviously had a full pre-season, and if he's only able to do 60 minutes, maybe that needs addressing to get him through so he can play a full 90. But I was reading that he'd taken a little bit of a knock a couple of weeks ago, but even then, he's had 2 weeks to get himself 100% fit. So that'd be a little bit concerning. I did actually joke that when he's sort of walking around, if you didn't know that he was 20, you'd probably put him down at about 45. He's got that sort of demeanour.
Yeah.
Old Sunday league football that you see something more that just bursts into life and stuff. But yeah, hats off. Probably man to match for me from his performance.
He's such a big boy, Poz, isn't it? Like such a big kind of man mountain of a guy, and it was quite funny because a number of times you hear, there's always been over the years, and it kind of a shoot, the crowd, they do it normally to players who score like once every 5 seasons, and it was funny yesterday watching back that, it went shoot, and it was like bang, and it were in, and it were absolutely brilliant. And I think the second goal, it really weird because the centre back didn't even just go out of play. He absolutely slid out of play on his knees. It was one of the weirdest ever because it almost looked like it were pissing down, didn't it? And it was one of those, I think, where everyone like, bloody, I want to see a replay of that again. And it showed 2 or 3 angles, and I thought it really weird, minimal. I thought there's no way he could have gone out of there without a good shove, and there didn't seem to be anything really. It was so odd. But like you said there, I think what I really liked about it, he backed himself, Poz. And I know you can kind of say, I think they'd been ready to be slaughtered if he hadn't cut it, if he'd have missed there or Button had saved it. But it was just a beautiful, honestly, when he scored them goals like in the 5 sides, when he just absolutely welly it and like he did, and bang, and it's in. And just great to see his smiling face, beautiful celebration, some great camera angles of like going towards the south stand, these people going wild and stuff. For me, that's what we're missing in it, a bit of excitement. Some guy to come in. We'll talk about 1 or 2 negative tweets I got about him last night. But Jonny, obviously, a great moment, and that's why we brought him back in it for magic like that.
It is, yeah. I mean, I sit kind of right in front of that foul, not a foul, jumping for the second goal. And when you come in and see the contact he'd made on the player, but I would just expect the ref to blow, because I think that's just what we're used to, aren't we? Attackers behind a defender, defenders in front of the ball, goes down, referee blows. And it's good to see that he doesn't give in. I've been watching it back, like I said, there's a few angles, and I can't see, he barely even touched him. For the result in while the player literally slides about 2-3 yards on his knees, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, whether Steve Bruce has watched that back and is still annoyed, or he's had a bit of a pop at his player saying, look, you've got to be stronger there, because this is, I mean, they've been told refs have slightly changed what they class as a foul and not a foul now, re-contact. So, for me, it's the West Brom's defenders to blame, and I don't think we've got away with that at all. Jack, I've never seen this guy play, so you two might have an opinion on this, and shame it's not live. We won't have any comments, but people can kind of comment afterwards. But the lad, lad, the man who sits next to me, says that Tino, especially the second goal, reminds him of Steve Kingdom. Kind of a bit of a presence, bit of a man mountain, bit of a maverick, to shove someone off the ball, run straight at the goal and smash it in. I've never seen him play, so I can't kind of comment on that. But
just before our time, how do you think we had?
But one maybe for the comments, but see if anyone agrees with him or not.
We'll
but,
pass it over to Matt next week.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a great. And I've seen a few people say, "Oh, if it wasn't for Tino," and I get where that comes from, because, do you know what I mean? If he's being managed with his minutes and he has got a few knocks, we can't rely on one player. But it's exciting to have a player that is, do you know what I mean, does make us. We don't want to be a one-man team. We've not had a player that's kind of made us one-man team for a long time. And it's just someone on the pitch you think you can look to and go, do you know what I mean, it's 1-1 or it's 0-0, 1-0 down. But whilst Tino's on the pitch, there's always a chance that he can turn a man, run 20 yards and bang it in the top corner. And I can't think of the last time I've had someone, certainly for a while, who's got that ability to, within a second, just be that much above the rest of the team, the rest of the players on the pitch. So, yeah, we've got to be careful that we manage him. We don't want him to go out, because we looked a lot worse without him on the pitch.
I think what would
but it's exciting to have that.
is when he was called off at 60 minutes, he wouldn't, like when someone's subbed out, so I don't know whether it's agreement or whether he just knew it was time, but every time it's been subbed this year that I haven't, bloody hell, like, oh my God, what, me? But there's none of that. It's kind of like as if that's what the arrangement was.
It feels very pre-planned, doesn't it? To be bang on,
because
I think it
yesterday
was
I was
59,
thinking,
wasn't it? But bang on 60,
yeah. I was like, God, you're bringing off yesterday, but then it's like really weird. So this is positive. It's really weird. I mean, football, everyone sees everything really different. So I put a tweet, I like probably loads did last night, Tino this, Tino that. Some guy tweeted me back saying, Tino will get the headlines, but without the ball, he's our worst player. And someone else kind of tweeted in and that as well, basically saying, yeah, we'll cut him a bit of slack as he scores 2 goals, but he barely works off the ball. What's your thoughts on that? Is this just kind of work in progress? Does he have to do more? He's only a kind of young boy. I mean, it does stand out, to be fair, doesn't it? Especially when teams break quick and he's kind of floundering. But what do you reckon to them? Bit harsh maybe, or fact, or what do you think?
I don't think it's absolutely a ridiculous comment. I can see where it's coming from. I guess playing what we played yesterday, it's not. He's part of that front press, isn't he? So a lot of time the ball will go past him quite quickly. We've got a full back and then like a right or left centre back who will kind of do that job, and then you've got Rodori and Russell behind him. So yeah, press starts from front. I don't know how much of his role will be kind of doing that as a part of a front three. I'm not too sure. It's one of them, isn't it? If you've got someone on the pitch, you can do that. It's not, doesn't mean you can't. Doesn't have to look at it as a defensive game, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it's tactical. How much of his role is playing that? Is he has to get back, or is he has to kind of stay up a bit more? Because quite a few times I think we felt we had the ball towards the second half and we lump it to Danny Ward and he's got 3 players around him. There's absolutely nothing he can do. So having someone to feed off, that might be what more he's been asked to do. So it's quite hard. Don't know, maybe want to watch next time. It's quite hard to. I didn't notice it.
No.
So
Poz. I mean, you know what Huddersfield folk are like. It's really weird, isn't it? We don't mind a maverick, but we love people who put in a shift, don't we, and get stuck in. So someone who's a bit different and a bit kind of a maverick guy, for me, he's always been picked on over the years for town players. I don't have to name. You could go and name plenty of them kind of guys.
Yeah, you could.
But what do you reckon, Poz? I think it's a bit brutal, especially on a day when he's shone 2 goals.
I kind of no, I agree with Johnny. Weren't something that I particularly noticed from yesterday. I'd seen him put himself around perfectly fine. For me, as Johnny said, if you're pressing as part of the front three, chances that ball is going to get past you just because there's more defence and there's an option to play into centre midfield. So you can't then turn and sprint 25 yard back every single time that happens at full pace because you just do nothing but run backwards and fast. So once it's beyond that front three, you've got to look at your deeper line midfield players, and I think we've got it on agenda to talk about someone else bring it in now. But like Johnny Russell, for example, if you have someone like Tino to Johnny Russell's, it's chalk and cheese at the moment. He's probably one that needs to up his work rate and get stuck in. I thought he were at fault for that first goal yesterday. He kind of passes one on, which is fine because there's a back four, and then the guy that scores literally wanders right past him, like centimetres in front of it. And ball comes across and he reacts, and Russell Dunn, he just kind of stands there and watches. But he's certainly not, hitting the headlines he was towards back in the last season. But again, I don't know if Russell's that sort of player either. I think he needs someone like that to him. Someone who recently go to Nottingham Forest. He did a lot of running for it, and I think that's Russell can thrive off someone next to him, and I think someone like that in there with him to help him out.
Poz, is our midfield your biggest concern at the moment?
It is at the minute, certainly centrally. I don't think that we were helped yesterday by not having Jonny Ogg. I think Russell is probably too lightweight there centrally. I think we're losing a hell of a lot by playing Thomas out left. I cannot for the life of me understand why he's doing that. I kind of get his thinking that he can maybe cut in and supply the ball that way. 3 or 4 times yesterday he's running at their fullback, and last season he's taking him on and trying to whip a ball into the box, and this year he has to check, and it just slows everything down a little bit. Always disliked managers moving a player in that position. So we've got a good right winger, probably one of the best in the league, looking at his stats last year. Don't move him to accommodate the fact that we have a left winger. Play him on the right, keep that position strong, and put someone else out left and do it that way. So I think we're losing a lot from Thomas playing on wrong wing in midfield. I think we do look a little bit light in the middle. I think we lack a little bit of creativity. So yeah, probably not selling it here as midfield team. I do think we are lightweight in midfield.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think for that first goal, you're absolutely right. When Russell, Jed Wallace, he's on the left. If you're looking at it from the cowshed, he's on the left of the pitch. You walk straight past, run straight past Russell, and you don't track him at all. And he's the man who puts the ball in, and you straight away look at your left back and your left centre back. But it's not really their fault because they're recovering, and what if Wallace has been trapped? He doesn't get that shot. So I think there's quite a few times in the game where the ball was just passed around him too easy. He wasn't quite pressing, he wasn't quite tracking a man, he wasn't quite doing anything. He's a little bit in no man's land, and it's not a go at him. Do you know what I mean? He's come in, we've played half a season last year. He did really well. But I think it's possibly time. Well, in an ideal world, it's possibly time to take him out, work on some things on the training ground, give him a few 20 minutes in the games like kind of doing to Kamara, and let him just rebuild back up. The issue is
to be fair, Johnny, taken out? I suppose you'll probably say to me, well, it's only because Hogg went out that he was probably brought back in maybe without a plan, because we were 3 games potentially. And probably looked a bit better, I think, maybe. Yeah,
potentially, and that's the problem. It's the depth in that in those 2 centre midfielders or 3 centre midfielders. If we play 3 or if we play 2, that he's being called upon. So it is kind of unfair to pick him out when they might be looking to do that. But it's been an issue that's been, for me, we've talked about it in the pod before. Centre midfield is an issue which needs addressing. Yet great to sign. Do you know what I mean? Fullbacks, potentially a striker, etc. Potentially a centre back. But for me, we've got Hogg, who we know what Hogg's about. He's another year older. This groin injury is something we've known about for a while as well. So it's going to come, it's going to go. That's fair enough. Do you know what I mean? That's all we can probably expect from Hogg. For me, Rodoni, he's that bit of creativity, but he's been asked to play a role which he's not really. I don't know him, but it's not the role he played for Wimbledon. He does bits okay in that as a central midfielder, but other parts of his game are a bit weak because it's not necessarily where he plays. Be able to get him forward, I think would help. So we've signed a creative midfielder and we're kind of playing him a little bit too deep. But it's because we've got issues. Kasuma, I think, was a good signing, but we know that history tells us that he doesn't play every game of the season. So for me, it's a really glaring gap, and it really needs addressing. With the window shut, so we're still left with the midfielders we've got to go with. It's going to be a problem all season. So I just hope we can bring someone in, because at the moment, the West Brom game was lost for me, or the goals were lost in midfield. The defending wasn't absolutely amazing yet, but last season, a lot of those chances don't get through because we've got players in the midfield that would stop them. And it becomes more obvious when you look at defenders, when you look at the last move of a goal. But the midfield just did nothing yesterday for 90 minutes. There's 2 centre midfielders and 3 when Holmes came on. But it's an area that really needs addressing first and foremost before we bring anyone in for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it just an obvious thing to say, but it just shows how much we're missing Lewis O'Brien. He's just like, it's a chasm in it, really. Yeah, I think we all knew we were going to miss him, but maybe kind of not as much as this. And I think we all knew deep down that kind of Johnny Russell was, I don't know. I think he maybe mopped up quite a few things from last season, but it's a big issue. And I think worrying thing. I mean, we'll come on to transfer things a bit later on, but like you say, John, it sounds like we're in for a centre back and a full back, but to me that seems to be one of the key positions, especially with what we've got there. Jack Rudoni Potts, he's not off guard. I don't know because he's been promising so far, but apart from Joe Lolly, I cannot remember anyone who can strike a ball least powerful as him. It's unbelievable. Honestly, incredible. It's like I could fight it hard at half of the time. It's really odd. It's like, I mean, he must have scored 10 goals with FC Wimbledon with his head or something last season because, I don't know, it's just weird. He breaks balls like, shoot, he's just like that one. He's just like, man, just batter it, man.
Yeah, he's not quite caught one this season, has he? So it's amazing he's comparing to Joe Lolly, actually, because I was thinking exactly the same, because the amount of times that he used to get into a decent shooting chance and then spit or like P-roll it back in, you're like, how have you made it as a forward player if this is like how hard you can kick it up? I do quite like him. He's shown a little bit. He's not shown me a great deal to make me think he's going to be fantastic. But again, it's a step up in league, it's up in quality. It's certainly against West Brom. As Johnny's touched on earlier, they've got a good side of West Brom. They're probably going to be at least top 6 this year, I would imagine. So it was always a tough game yesterday, and somebody coming up, from that sort of level to play Championship.
How good was Jed Wallace yesterday?
A few weeks to get fully up to speed.
Jed Wallace looked class, didn't he? I mean, obviously, I think we all knew that last season, and they had a Millwall season card. But I mean, his volley was a beauty. Well, I know we give him kind of the freedom of Huddersfield at times, but he just looked a guy that just going to make them, a lot better team than that as well. He looked good, and I think I liked about him as well. It's like even when he scored that equaliser, he was rushing. A weird celebration when he broke his arm, but he wanted to get back on with it, didn't he? He wanted the 3 points for West Brom. He wanted enough for him. So but. Let's talk another West Brom player or an ex-Town player and that as well. Ooh, William Boyle. So I think he's got away with one there, as they say, Johnny. I mean, obviously it'd be interesting to see what kind of angle you had at the ground as well. But because Carlin Grant does go down quite easy, doesn't it? But it's one of those moments yesterday. I'm just thinking, that's a penalty, that, man. And you just know, don't you? I think sometimes wow, it was so great that we've got to remember this later on when we get a stinker. It's like, just remember this game because, We had
a few favourable, let's say, referee decisions first part of last season. I don't think any of them, even the Koroma one, compares to that. I sit in Lawrence Batley and Albany, so decent distance away. But like I say, you watch football live long enough to know stuff like that. When you see something, you just notice a penalty. Straight away, look at the referee. I mean, just that sinking feeling, waiting, trying to hold his point. That happens, and I think that's it. Can't believe it. I think everyone in the West Brom's coaching staff and even the players who don't sit in the dugout anymore, sit further up. The West Brom players are up and fuming, throwing balls on the floor. They couldn't believe it, and it's like you get modern day footballers complaining. No, when you get that many players, coaching staff on the pitch, off the pitch complaining, you just know. Watched it back, a few little cheeky comments on Twitter, like saying never a pen, but in all honesty, I can't remember a decision that poor, that blatant. I think Bruce said that when he asked the ref said he couldn't see it, which is fair enough. And I think Bruce goes on to make a fair enough point that he's got 2 linos, one with a much better view than the other, and a 4th official is probably sat right where I am. And I don't know, as a referee unit, how they've not given that. And if I was a West Brom fan, I'd feel rather aggrieved with that, in all honesty. But the issue for us is, what is Will Boyle doing?
Yeah,
he's a wrong side. He's dangerous. I know he's thinking Grant's going to take a first shot early. Do you know what I mean? But he's on his weaker foot if he knows that, which he should do. So yeah, it's worrying because ultimately that should have cost us the game. Luckily, it hasn't, so it's a bit of a funny one. But in reality, it still happened, and it's another big question mark, isn't it? Really. So,
Pozzy, you probably had the best view of all where you were, mate. But why is Boyle going in there? It was just amateur stuff. Honestly, what a thing to get away with, really, for us.
It were. I was sort of 10 yards, literally 10 yards in front of me, and he's going nowhere. Is Grant? He's actually, if you watch it back, his body shape's almost. I'm controlling it with my foot and going away, back towards corner flag. So to think that he even needed to put that tackle in is beyond me, to be honest. Just stand him up, and he's not going to score with his back to goal from there. The worst he's going to do is lay off and get him. There's going to be a cross coming, but he's got away with that one, as Johnny says, on another day. That turns into a penalty, and more than likely 3-2, and we've thrown away 2-0 to lose on that rash decision.
You'll have had a good view of that Dean Garner. Bloody hell, he hit it so well. And I'm thinking, how the hell has that gone in? It got the tiniest of deflections, didn't it? I mean, it's one of those where if you're like defensive team, you're holding your breath and praying, and as an away fan, you're behind that goal, wanting to lose your shit. The net ripples, and it did neither. But the replay just got a tiny deflection, and again we got kind of lucky with that. But he's obviously a class player, but it was out in the mouth stuff. Again, you had a good view of that.
Yeah, again, one of them, it kind of flashed out, and as he hit it, you're almost expecting it to kind of swerve back in. I think it came off a West Brom knee, actually, but just not enough, obviously, to redirect it enough. But that's what I mean, that last sort of period in game were quite entertaining. They had those two chances. So it was actually refreshing to see two that actually wanted to try and get 3 points, because, away from home, you brought it from 2-0 down to 2-2. It's kind of, let's make sure we cock this up and lose it. And sometimes we've gone from 2-0 up, and now it's 2-2. We better not lose it. And last 10 minutes can sometimes just be played out as people just passing it around, trying not to lose, really. But yesterday it was actually quite nice to see that we were going into injury time, both teams still, pushing forward, trying to get that win, which, I have to Schofield for that, because I'd rather, it sounds really silly, but I'd rather try that and end up losing 3-2, on occasion, but then on other occasions winning, than just playing out every single time, because,
Ruffles is shot, man. Bloody hell. Honestly, the keeper he didn't post and come back, and keeper were just starting to dive for it. It was an absolute thunderbolt, like peak Roberto Carlos, man. And I think everyone was shocked as anything, because I think when you're doing your own at West Brom, they sat there thinking, it's not one of those, don't let Josh Ruffles shoot. And it's just like they let him go.
Not top of the list, is he?
Oh, wow, it were fantastic as well.
I think Ruffles were probably just everybody else.
And Nichols again.
That's one of them, though, when you're a defender and you don't shoot.
Yeah. It would have proper thud off. Plus, it wasn't even like off a bit. It would hit the actual, just the foot of it. As you can never hit the foot as much as that. But again, Lee Nichols in the first half, what a save! The guy, he's just dynamite, isn't he, man?
Yeah, I think there's almost a save a game at the moment in that we can pick out. He was again absolutely unreal save. And it's just little sort of things, even in the second half, just being quick off his line and getting out and helping defenders early. You might not even see it as a chance. But a few times the ball came over and he's out, he's claimed it, or he's instructing defenders what to do. Little things like that just stop things from developing into situations that we don't want them to develop to. So, yeah, Nichols again, absolutely quality. It's almost like it goes under the radar, doesn't it? Because it's almost become to expect it of him. It's important to keep recognising that.
Last thing really on the game from me is, we touched on it a little bit earlier, I think, Poz, but we were weird. We had no striker for 11 minutes, and like you said, it sounded like we pushed Thomas into that role, and then kind of Rhodes got thrown on 11 minutes later. And it's something I'm mentioning it a bit, and I'm really anti-5 subs. I hate it, and I think again that's another. I mean, Schofield kind of got it right against Stoke. Maybe he stumbled across it. I thought his subs were game changers there and wouldn't help us win us, but doesn't it bugger up the flow of the game when there's people throwing subs on all the teams and stuff like that as well? I just couldn't. There's obviously a reasoning behind it and that as well, but it was really, really odd. And I think Danny Ward was as shocked as anyone who were like, what? And yeah, but a bit of an head shaker. Do you think, Poz, that the fact that he changed it 11 minutes later is an admission of a mistake, or not necessarily? How did you see that? Was it odd, wasn't it, really? Everyone's in the grounds like, hey, what are we doing? No striker.
Yeah. When Ward's number come up, you're obviously expecting Rose to trot on, aren't you? Because it's basically the only 2 forward players that we've got. So you're thinking, hang on a minute, why is, that's a bit of a strange sub. But like I say, I think just around that little period, I don't know if it was just after or just before that. Edmonds Green took a knock, didn't he? And he went off and had to come on. So you know what footballers are like. It could just be something stupid, as in, I've not warmed up enough. I've bloody shin pads in the gym room, stuff like that. But yeah, it seemed a little bit strange when Sorba kind of went down the middle, because for me, he's not that sort of player anyway that you'd even think of throwing up as a striker as last resort. So you were a little bit strange. I do think the 5 subs things, because it is interesting, because I know the rule is that you still only get the opportunity, don't you, like you would have done. So it can't slow it up as in, I'll do a sub, wait 2 minutes, do a sub, and do that 5 times. But the fact that you're making 2 subs still slows it down, because you've got 2 players to come off. And I don't know. I think it's good in some respect, because managers can obviously make 5 changes, but at Town we haven't got. Without sounding horrible, we haven't got 5 proper changes in us. Every sub is, I'll take a right winger off and put a right winger on. So it makes no difference to the tactical side for Town. So in some respects, it does just kind of disrupt us. Yeah, you're getting fresh legs on, but you don't really get any new ideas or many, really different formation changes. In Premier League and teams probably bigger and better squads, it's probably going to work in their advantage, because you can bring 3 subs on and shuffle a full formation round, or even 4 on, and 5 and stuff like that. So, yeah, I kind of get it in some respects, but in others, I must admit, I don't really like it. I also think managers, because they've got 5, sometimes think, let's just make 5 just to get someone fresh on. Whereas, do you really need to do that sometimes?
Jonny, were you scratching your beautiful beard yesterday when you realised that we had?
Yeah, I just thought, I don't know. I thought it was like the last we've seen of Rhodes, because I thought, well, if you sat there, he was 3rd all time, EFL or Championship goal scorer, and you your teammate who plays at top where he comes off, and then he chucks Thomas. And I thought, all right, well, maybe something's happening behind the scenes that we don't know. It's anything I thought of as to why he did it. And then, yeah, it's very strange that 10 minutes later, Rhodes come on and we have a conventional striker. So I don't know. The question wasn't asked to Schofield, was it? So we don't really know whether it's a bit tactical, or he thinks Rhodes is carrying something, can only do a certain amount of minutes. But I said, well, then leave Ward on until you can bring Rhodes on. So it can't really be that. Again, they've not reported Ward to have had a knock or an injury. He came off, and again, where I see he did look a little bit confused as to what was going on, but that's just reading a bit of body language and expression, so it's not necessarily what happened. But yeah, strange. And then to, like I say, change it 10 minutes later, is that like Kosi said, an admission of he's got it wrong or it's not quite working? So it's just strange, isn't it? It doesn't help the faith in Schofield with people who aren't too sure and don't think he's necessarily up to it, or kind of don't think if it's a bit too soon, things like that. I don't know if Corberán done it. Probably might not have questioned it too much. Schofield, he's not got that credit in the bank, has he? So it does look a bit of a strange one. It's a shame. Do you know what I mean? No one's necessarily asked him about it. I know managers get a bit touchy being asked about substitutions, don't they? But it would be interesting to have known.
I'll give it away.
Yeah.
Jamie, if you're watching, mate, you need to do better, mate. You've done too much cricket coverage for BBC. Get sorted, man. Proper interviewing after.
One thing I just said before we move on for the game, I know he's coming for a little bit of criticism, so I think Sorba was improved against West Brom. Just sort of things like a couple of touches in the build to play, getting quick passes, like one-touch passes. He did quite a lot with Tino and Ward. I thought he was better. His deliveries were better as well, I thought. Great one in for Rhodes for that chance that he might have put away. So not full Sorba. I agree with Poz. I don't know why he's playing down the left, play him on the right. The thing is, he cuts in on the right as well. He scored by cutting on the right. So doesn't need to be on the left to cut in, does he? So, but yeah, a little bit more back to Sorba that we know. So just give him a bit of a credit, because he's coming for a little bit of stick, hasn't he? So
yeah, I do think the World Cup's a big thing, really. Maybe he's trying too hard and it's not doing any favours, like say playing left. So it'll be interesting to see where he plays on Wednesday night down in Bristol. But also, kind of moving on, still involved with the game. You guys issued a bit of a call to arms with the Calshed Loyal the other day. explained, need more guys down the front. A few people have kind of moved on, etc., noise-wise. And just kind of tell us a little bit about what you kind of, that prompted, obviously, the post. And yesterday, how was it kind of for you? Because we'll come on to tweets later, but I think one said that they kind of couldn't hear it as much once West Brom had scored and this, that and the other. What's your kind of general feeling about everything?
It's a strange one. I think of just talking about the message that went out from us guys. It were just trying to get people involved with what we do. To be fair, kind of like behind it or all that. It was more, we've been established as a group since sort of 2014, and people's lives have just basically moved on. We've had a few of the younger lads have gone off to uni, a couple of the sort of middle-aged, so obviously lads have sort of moved on in their life, got children and other responsibilities, stuff like that. We just mean that they can't give up as much time as what we used to, which is probably why you probably noticed there's not as many sort of displays going on and that sort of stuff. And obviously losing Gas Club, which were our home, that's where we used to make a lot of our stuff and beat up a drink before matches and stuff. So it was just a case of trying to get some more people in there. In regards to sort of atmosphere in general, yeah, it's been a bit of a strange one. Early season is always a little bit funny, I think, because you've still got like cricket, for example. This week it's bank holiday, like Leeds Festival, a lot of the young ones, that kind of sit with us, being away and people holiday and all that sort of stuff. And there does seem to be a little bit of, I won't say discontent, because I think that's probably too much of a strong word, but I think there's a lot of people still a little bit, upset, shall we say, about Kosi being replaced by Danny Schofield. Looking at we've let go of the signings that have come in, and I think people are just a little bit, like that sort of feeling at the moment with town. Like we did well, we almost got to where we want to be. We seem to have just taken 2 or 3 steps back again. Without obviously going into that full discussion, but in regards to the atmosphere, I thought yesterday was pretty good. Obviously, going 2-0 up always helps. You know what English football like. If you win in, everyone's happy. As I mentioned earlier, once that goal went from West Brom, though, the place kind of just fell silent, because I think it was just that case of thinking, here we go again. We've gone in front. We're not playing that particularly well. They've got a goal. Next thing that's going to come is another goal for West Brom, and then chances another one. But I thought Crowd stuck with it. In sort of quiet. It took a while to go around, but people did, sort of saw the importance of sticking with it. And let's be honest, away fans always seem louder than home fans. I don't know if there's more microphones near away fans or whatever, but I thought West Brom were really poor yesterday. Their fans, I didn't hear anything from them until they'd scored and a little bit in second half. So, I think one of the things that we're probably a little bit guilty of in South Stand or Cowshed Loyal ourselves is maybe setting our bar a little bit too high in regards to atmosphere, and sometimes you've got to take a step back and just think, for an English football stadium, which although it's renowned for atmosphere, across the world, really if you watch European football, if you watch world football, we're miles behind a lot of places, Germany, Spain, Italy, places like Poland. If you watch a match, from those sort of countries on TV, it is literally non-stop from an hour before, sometimes to an hour after. So, I think we've got to be grateful for what we get at town compared to a lot of other English stadiums. I think for a home atmosphere, we do well. Obviously, it could be better, but,
next Sunday, Poz,
keep trying to do what we do.
Bit of Sunday service, mate, like the choir, innit? Next Sunday against Blackpool. What a strange time for another game, But anyway, there's no denying one of the loudest cheers yesterday. Did you notice that seamless link there? I haven't written it down. No denying one of the loudest cheers yesterday. It's a return of, the king of Huddersfield. I called Jordan Rhodes when I did that commentary, but I think David Wagner could lay definitely light to that. Unbelievable to see him back yesterday. A bit of surprise, really. It almost felt like, I think they were going to come back for the last game against Bristol City last season, and I don't want to put it down on it, because part of me thought, it's a bit naughty on Danny Schofield here, because if we're getting beat and he comes out and stuff, and obviously we've got 1 or 2 tweets we'll mention in a minute about, again, 2 and 2 makes 5, 4. Well, let's see, but let's just kind of cope with the fact, really. Yesterday, brilliant to see him on it. Poz, you had a photo taken with him, didn't you? And Youngman and that as well. But it just feels like yesterday, doesn't it? And I just know where I'm going to be like about 30 years' time. Do you remember 2017? But it was brilliant to see him, and he looked well, didn't he?
Yeah. I thought it was fantastic for him to come down, and I mean, sure, you could see how much it still meant to him, and the reception that he got. I'm glad he came on the pitch at half time. He was a bit like Wooly, wouldn't he? I think Rambo said at the start, I don't know how much you'll get to see him, but he's in the ground. So I'm glad he got to come on, and Town fans got their time to kind of, say what you want to say thank you, or just for applaud him for the job that he did, or whatever. Sing his name, because we never really got there, did we? And he will be one of the managers that, if in years, decades to come, your top managers, he'll be on that list. What he gave Town fans and what he gave the town itself. So I think it was nice that Town fans got to do that, and you could see how much it meant to him. He kind of said to Rambo, like, don't ask me too many questions. He like, don't ask me anything, because he'll start to go. So clearly it meant as much to him as it does to us all. So no, I think it was nice. It's always a bit weird, isn't it, with like Schofield and what his opinions will be, and it's a little bit of a delicate time, and then Wagner comes back, and does it kind of make a bit more difficult situation? But ultimately, I think you've got to be professional and separate those things, and I don't think we could not take the opportunity for him to come back, and Town fans do what they want to do and say thank you. So I'm glad it happened. I don't think Schofield will be too bothered either way, is my opinion. And yeah, I'm glad he came on the pitch at half time.
Yeah, me too. But one of the first things he had to cut was Poz ambushing him when he gets to the stadium, and this young guy, and he still came into the ground to watch after that incident. So credit to David for still getting in. But Poz, you were nearer to him than most yesterday. Nice picture, mate. He looked in good health.
He did, mate, to be fair. Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it? Being 37-year-old and wanting a photo with football manager. I tried to angle it that Youngman wanted one, but I had to get one myself, obviously. But no, as Jonny says, I think it were fair play to him for coming down. I don't think you can draw any reasoning that he was there to undermine Danny Schofield or like that. End of the day, he's an Huddersfield Town legend. If Schindler would be saying, he's minding Will Boyle and people like that, would you just accept it for what it is? So people always look for something to have a pop at Town for something, don't they? Let's not do that on this occasion. Let's just celebrate what an achievement David Wagner did. And when you look back now on his time with Town, obviously he took on that second season in Premier League and kind of we went separate ways. I just kind of wish that he'd have called it a day after Chelsea. When you look back at the time, obviously we were buzzing to keep him for that second season, but if he'd have gone out after that at Chelsea, there would have been literally no criticism whatsoever. I had a couple of texts saying, why did you ask him why he deserted us, halfway through the season and all that. But for me, come on, the man gave us things that I and many, many other Town fans never thought we would see. So if he abandoned us, which I don't think he did, bloody hell, give it a rest, celebrate the fact that he probably gave you, Town fans in general, the most unbelievable 2 seasons of his lives. I don't think they'll be ever replicated. We had a great season under Carlos, and I never really felt in that season, last season, the things that I felt that season that we got promoted with Wagner. So it proves, doesn't it, that the first time is always special, as they say.
So on Thursday, guys, it's September the 1st. It's tragic that we're losing August like that, and the lights are getting it's getting darker earlier on the night and stuff. But the window is slamming shut. It's not just shutting; it's slamming shut on Thursday. So classic Town, absolute camp comedy for everyone on Saturday morning. Scrolling the official site, trying to find who we've signed, and a leak of a. She's just laughable, isn't it? It's only Town could do it. A leak of a guy fitting the description of Mr. Simpson from Ipswich, and I suppose we could cover the window now actually as well. So strong rumours, pretty much done deals if you believe what you hear. Helix coming in from Barnsley for £1 million, centre back. Simpson, a striker from Ipswich. Will he be involved? Will he? Look, yesterday, we didn't play a striker then. So is he going to be another one that's going to be loaned straight out? Just on the outs this week, Kieran Phillips has gone to Morecambe, fight Tyson Fury. Oh, come on, smash him, mate. That's it. And Kieran Phillips had so many loans, hasn't he? God, he's only young. And Ryan Schofield's got a good move to Ibs to meet Adam Tomlinson. And I think Utility Energy sponsor them, don't they? So he'll be at home wearing one of those shirts. But I suppose putting it all together, Poz, that was just a weird one, wasn't it? The Simpson thing. I mean, if you've got the guy and he's signed, why piss about? And God knows whether someone's hacked in, leaked, or whatever. But it was a bit of a strange thing, that, wasn't it? And before we even come on to whether he's going to be any good or not, what a weird incident. Just put it out there. Why are the club messing about?
Yeah, I mean, if it's the only thing that I can do is that it's like a scheduled video that comes out at a certain time, so it's kind of online on YouTube, but generally can't see it. And someone's got some information somewhere because they've obviously found this video. But as you say, I half expected him to be on team sheet yesterday, to be honest. And football clubs are always trying to think of ways to be more creative out there to announce signings, and maybe not announcing it and just having him on team sheet is like a new way of announcing people. And then the interview we're going to go out afterwards, I don't know, but yeah, it's a little bit shambolic in it, because once it's been found that video is there, why not then just announce it anyway? What's the point in waiting until Monday or whenever? Just announce it and hold your hands up and say, look, we messed that up. Yeah, he's signed, here he is, kind of thing. So yeah, I'd imagine someone in the media department is going to be getting a bit of a bollocking on Monday morning for whatever information has been leaked to whoever on that one.
So, Poz, Tyree Simpson from Ipswich Town, 20 years old, been on loan at Swindon. His goals, I think he's played 25 games, got 9 goals, 30 games, that's 11 goals for Swindon. Played most of his football in League Two. Just feels like another development player, doesn't it, at this moment in time? I can't see me playing much part this season. Or that's assuming he's signed, and this one's just someone Photoshop looking like him in a Town video. But yeah, not exactly one. Again, it's another one of those. I think it's just a development. But a bit like Udley, mate. Off he goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think looking at his... Oh, go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I like looking at his experience, where he's coming from and how much he's played. More than likely. Although we have currently got in our ranks a lad that we signed from Ipswich for a little less who did all right. I don't think he was know much about him, did they, before he came in? But if he goes that way, we'll be very happy. But yeah, I think the good thing about him is he looks an athletic lad, doesn't he? He's like could have played rugby professionally. He could have gone down a track career, athletics, chosen football. I wonder why I chose football. Hey ho. So given how we're looking to play and what that press and what Ward does, on paper he's got the right attributes. I guess it's kind of have a look at him doing like a bit we did with Sauber, which I thought was fascinating when the club came out and explained how they kind of worked with Sauber off the pitch, and they had a support team around him and got him used to playing at this level and what that looks like, what he can and can't do. So if we can take a bit of time to do that with him, if he's not quite ready, it's a good. I'm all for the club looking to get players in like that. Do we need a striker to come in and play right now? Might get slated, but maybe not, because Ward's good enough for another year at least this season. Rhodes is a relatively good backup if we're keeping him. So if he's probably got the luxury to have a bit of get used to it, play a bit of B team football, get a few minutes if the cup, if we make past the first round, or in a few games in the EFL, and then maybe let's go next year. So it's the kind of sign we're going to get, really, because if we're signing someone to come in on loan, are they going to play? We only play one striker, so it kind of works. It kind of fits, and I guess we'll see how good he is. And like every player, we'll judge him how he does in blue and white, and let's see. But yeah, it's a strange. I think the club now they've got to kind of almost recognise the error and maybe make something funny about it when they announce it. They can't just be like, "This is a new signing," because it looks a bit ridiculous. Everyone knows you've got to work with that now and do something clever with it, I think. But we'll see what they do. More than likely.
Fantastic. Poz, I was at cricket yesterday, and Barnsley fan who plays for our team, like, Kosi, you've signed that Michael Illich from us. He's absolutely brilliant, mate. You've got a good one there. 26 years old, right foot centre back, played 81 times for Barnsley in the Championship, 134 times in the beautiful named Ekstraklasa, which is the Polish league. So good age. Sounds promising, mate. This guy, obviously, it's kind of rumour and done deal, whatever. Let's hope it happens and stuff next week. But to me, that's a sign in that, you know, I'm happy with, you know, again, there are probably people who'll poke holes. Yeah, well, he played for a team that went straight down last season, but I think Tom Lees did that season before and he didn't turn out too bad, did he? But I don't know what you know about him, Poz, but for me, that we definitely needed a centre-back. And I think, Edmonds Green, again, struggled yesterday with his, his knee, didn't it? But we definitely need reinforcements there. So he looks a good recruit if he comes.
Yeah, like you say, 26-year-old, you know, experienced to a degree. You'd expect him to be one of those that is likely to, you know, be first 11 or certainly in the squad. Pearson, long-term injury. Like I say, Edmonds Green, I bowled off again yesterday. So all of a sudden we're looking pretty light in central defence as well. It's interesting because a lot of the noise that came out early before the season were that squad all right. Hoyle, when he did that interview, kind of hinted that the squad is more than capable of replicating what happened last season. Yet here we are, you know, a couple of days before the window shuts, seemingly scrambling around to bring players into, you know, to bolster his squad and improve his chances. Now, is that because we've had a little bit of a rough start potentially? All right, we've had a couple of injuries as well, but you know, it would have been nice to do this business 2 or 3 months ago. Bring these sort of players in, and if these are the, you know, players that we were looking at, you know, could have been a different story with management involved as well, or were these the targets long term that Carlos deemed not good enough? Only time will tell on that. But yeah, just coming back to Simpson, I think Johnny's right with his sort of physical size and, you know, his presence. Although on paper he looks like a development player, I would expect him to be, you know, maybe pushing back, certainly on the bench. Literally, we have Rhodes and Ward, so you know you've always got to have at least someone else in the squad that can play up front, even though you do only play one. So I'd expect him to, although he's young, I would expect him to be more of a first teamer than, you know, the lad who we brought in and let him go on loan. Who name escapes me at the moment, can't remember. Although I did see him yesterday, and he's absolutely massive. I don't know how, you know, defenders will cope with him when he's ready to play. He walked in and I'm 6'1", and I had to look up, like literally look up to see him. So once he's up to speed, I think he will be a handful.
Thanks for sending your tweets. And to be honest, we pretty much, I don't honestly, I scoured over him earlier, but we pretty much covered what everyone was asked, to be honest with you. The chance window was mentioned, and you know, a guy how I expect to go, especially he wasn't even, he was moved out of the squad yesterday. Again, just for, I think Ben Jackson came in for him, but I think Josh Koroma will be at another club, mate. Guys, in this window, I'd be amazed if his agent hadn't been working hard behind the scenes. And we've talked about midfield. We definitely want someone in there. Let's hope we can get someone in. But yeah, it'd be a shame to see him go. But I think there's more chances of you playing Johnny than Josh Koroma at the moment. He's incredible, the fall from grace of this guy. But I know we've covered it a few times in the past. But just looking overall, mate, ins and outs. Obviously, the two that I mentioned, Ailick and Simpson, look in, but I thought we can get a midfielder in. Anyone else maybe going out? Maybe Rolando Aarons?
So I saw something about, I think he's going up to Scotland, potentially. He needs to go somewhere and remember that he's a professional footballer in all honesty. Koroma, it's a weird one because he's his last year contract, isn't he, as well? So if he goes out for the season, is that just it? If it's 6 months to get him some game time, try and get his confidence back, try and find that player, fair enough. But it's a strange one. I think if he goes, is that maybe the end of Koroma and Matt's conch? I don't know. I guess it's who we bring in. We've got a few young lads knocking around, haven't we? So if we do bring in a midfielder, does that kind of what do we do to look with maybe like Kamara? Because I think a player like that wants to be playing football. I know we've got a B team set up, but I think for him it'd be good to get him game time. So it's a little bit depending on who comes in. Let's hope we get a central midfielder in. Do you know what I mean, of quality and experience, so the young lads can either play a little bit more of a bit part or go and get game time lower down. BF for me, potentially left back. I don't know. Now we've brought a lad in from Barnes, and maybe we are looking at playing Nakayama more as a left back, because for me, I quite like him as a centre back. I thought that then left us a bit short at left back. But if we brought in a centre back, maybe the plan is to I mean, we did sign him as more of a left side defender and left back, so maybe that is what the ultimate plan is. So if that is a plan, maybe we don't need a left back, but if it isn't, then maybe we do there potentially. But for me, it's just centre mid, and we've not even really been linked to anyone. It doesn't mean we've not done any work behind the scenes, but yeah, we've got to get someone in, someone experienced who can go right into the team and can play and knows what Championship's about for me. But they're not cheap, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if it does slam shut on Thursday without anyone, it will be a slam a little bit in the face, won't it? So
yeah, guys,
we remain in hope.
Fresh from our successful, we thought it was. Once this dickhead here had worked it out to take everyone off mute, we're doing another Twitter Spaces after his first away win of the season at Bristol on Wednesday night. So get involved with it again, Johnny. We kind of got hang of it, didn't we? Later on, Poz just sacked it off and reckoned like he says after 10 o'clock is bedtime. Well, Poz, you're going to have to get permission to stay up a bit later, mate, on Wednesday. So we're going to do another Twitter Spaces. I quite enjoyed it. I felt like a fake phone host. It's just like people that lay a little secret in the background. There were like one or two fans from other clubs, like trying to because you have to let someone to talk. You've got to kind of accept them into the panel. And I accepted someone through who were a Forest fan, and then Matt just managed to sabotage it last minute, like cut him off. So. But we could have some fun. So thought it went well. At one stage, we had like 140 people on, and we had a couple of town players on, which we won't mention, which were very interesting. So yeah, we're going to trial it again on Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, Twitter Spaces. If anyone's thinking, what the hell's that? Basically, you go on your Twitter feed, you follow us, you'll see it right at the top. You like press on it, and then he's just like this pretty much. But obviously, you get the chance to have your say. So yeah, don't be shy. We even had someone who came back from the bus on Norwich, coming on, which I thought were really good. So yeah, you've got to try these new platforms, Poz. You've got to try them out, mate. So yeah, quickly following from Johnny. Anything maybe you'd want in the window? Just a centre midfielder and the centre back Ely will do, and obviously we're getting Simpson in.
Centre midfielder, and I'll be happy. Centre midfielder, and everyone just remember how to defend, and we'll be all right.
Brilliant. Poz?
Yeah, there's various places where we could potentially strengthen, but we've got what we've got. I was literally just looking through the squad, just to sort of see who we had and potential loanees out. I think one that we didn't mention there were maybe Danny Grant. Try to get him out and get him some first team football, even if it's just for a month, just to get him playing first team football, because he's kind of seemingly been around for a long time now. I know he's been injured and had issues with COVID and stuff like that. But if he's not ready for us for town, can he go to League Two maybe and just get some game time in? It's all right playing at this B team stuff down at the Miller Oils High Performance Centre, as it is now known, but it doesn't compare to proper first team football. So I'd maybe look to get him out. And then there's a fella that I totally forgot we signed, Conor Mahoney. He's on there, so he's one potentially. I'm presuming he's injured at the moment, so if he comes back,
he was on bench yesterday, Poz. He was on bench yesterday. First time he's been on it.
But it shows how much attention I pay.
Still busy David Wagner, aren't you? David,
so yeah, if he's coming back, well, that's another option, isn't it?
Wow.
So yeah, there's various little bits and bobs that we could be doing, and I'm sure that all fans want Huddersfield Town to be successful, but I'm quite pleased, shall I say, at this point that reading social media, which can be quite quick at times, I've not seen a lot of calls for Schofield to be gone, which is good. People are kind of giving him the time, because it's that second bottom after these games. We've only Coventry below, who I think obviously we missed our game, but they've missed games due to not playing. That'll be rubbish. They're below us. That Coventry game being called off could pointer, couldn't it?
I think the thing is though, Poz, it's 3 games in let me get this right. 3 games in 8 days coming up now, aren't there? Bristol Wednesday, Blackpool Sunday, and Wigan. I think it is next. Or is that the week after? Might be. I could be wrong there, but yeah, they're. We've had a tough start with the teams that we've played against. Birmingham, except to look absolutely dire, as you saw at Rotherham yesterday. So it's hard to, but we need to start winning soon, really, don't we? I know people always pointing to that Forest thing. I keep seeing that tweet being wheeled out where I think they'd, after 8 games, played won 1, draw 1, and lost 6. But yeah, so but no, it's
different. That's different. That were a bad team or bad squad for us. They just never got going, and a manager gave them a massive boost. But look at the squad that they had and compare it to Towns. It's chalk and cheese. People like to say those things because it makes them feel better, but you can't compare Towns' situation to Forest at this point. No way.
It's like what Johnny said though. It's like how many of our players are getting in West Brom first 11? Probably 2 in that as well. But yeah, let's send an eye there, lads. Well done. But we'll be back. Like I say, Wednesday.
We got through it. We got
Twitter Spaces. We'll be celebrating another win at Bristol City, like we did. I think it was in December last year, wasn't it? But yeah, so no.
December this year, Kosi, because we're only in August.
Matt's let us run wild in his pad tonight, so we hope you've enjoyed the programme, and we will be back obviously on Wednesday on Twitter Spaces and the normal pod YouTube Live next Sunday after the Blackpool game, so it'll still be fresh and raw on it. So yeah, up the town, and see everyone later on.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.